October comes with changing leaves, hay rides, and corn mazes. But what people remember the most about October is spooky season. A time for haunted houses, scary stories, jack-o'-lantern carvings, and last but not least, Halloween itself. A holiday that's about creativity and scaring all who may pass you.
I don't know.
Found at the Wahoo's location on Big Hill Road in Todd, North Carolina, Terror by the River has been in operation for the previous 2 years. But within those 2 years, they've built an escape room, a haunted trail, a haunted house, and an unofficial largest Grim Reaper in North Carolina. The most important part of the past 2 years has been the crew that makes these mesmerizing productions happen. So, it's time we meet the masterminds behind this horror attraction. The first step is the makeup artists, the magicians behind the horror. Our first subject is Kat Stauget. Let's hear what she has to say about the work she does.
And what do you do here?
I am the tour guide and the makeup artist.
Tell us how long it takes about per person.
Maybe about 15-20 minutes given. I do have someone else sometimes help me to help speed things up.
What's the most complicated makeup look you've done?
This year, not too many hard ones. Last year, my hardest one was, it looked like a girl had no mouth at all and her entire lower jaw was ripped off. And then it looked like it was sewn back, like with little strings. I get a little piece of toilet paper, rip it off one by one. I'll use latex, attach it to their face, hair dry it. Wait again, repeat the process probably 6 to 7 times. And then I'll slowly start to rip the toilet paper apart after putting makeup on it to blend in with the skin tone so it looks like the skin is ripped. And then after that, I'll either, if I want to do like the string where it looks like it's tied together, I'll cut a hole in it and tie string up and down through it. And then just add blood, start painting the inside of the lips that you can see black, of course, so you're not seeing that.
Can you explain to us how you got into makeup?
I've always liked it. In 2016, I saw a video on YouTube and it was Halloween. I had to dress up for my nephews, so I decided I was going to try it out and I ended up loving it.
What kind of makeup look did you do for that first time?
There was a can in my eye. It looked like I was stabbed. And I think the reason I liked it so much is I was going out, trick-or-treating with them, walking them up to doors, and everyone stopped me to take a picture of me.
That's so
and it
cool.
made me love it.
So do you prefer doing special effects makeup like Halloween makeup and stuff as opposed to natural, normal makeup like glam looks?
I try to do glam looks on myself. I cannot do it on other people. So I love doing special effects on other people though.
Makeup makes everything more believable. It allows for any genre of horror to be demonstrated. But no makeup would be necessary without the work provided by Kristina Ward, the mastermind behind Terror by the River.
My name is Kristina Ward.
And what gave you the idea of starting something like this?
Terror by the River is a haunted trail / house, both, for many years. I've been to every haunted house that I could possibly find, and just got to the point where I just wanted to do my own, and it just kind of fell into place over here.
Cool. And how long have you been doing Terror by the River now?
This is our 2nd year. Oh man, it's been a blast, yes.
And how's your business been affected by COVID, and what changes have you guys had to make as opposed to, when things are normal?
Actually, it's not really been too much of a difference because we've already kind of social distance, being outside, and then we'd have groups come to go through the trail, and we would just send one group at a time anyways. So it kind of turned out to be basically almost the same as like we did last year. The exception of a few more masks and hand sanitizers.
And speaking of the trail, what section are you most proud of?
That's a good question. I can't say the whole thing. Literally the whole thing, yeah.
And what gave you the idea for like this escape room? It's Alice in Wonderland themed, correct?
Actually, it took me forever. I was trying to think of a storyline. I was thinking of the puzzles and everything, but I could not think of that storyline, and it just hit me one day, and I was like, why wouldn't I do that? That's my favorite movie, so.
And what part of this trail was the hardest for you guys to get completed, produce?
Well, definitely the house part, to put it up, because obviously it's not a permanent building. It needs to come down, go back up. So that's definitely a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Now that we've covered how the operations work from the outside, it's time to meet the scare actors.
What's your name?
Logan.
Name's Anthony.
My name is Bert Sturton. I'm one of the scares up in the Haunted Trail.
And how long have you been working here?
This is my second season doing the trail. Worked for Wahoo's for many a year. And that's also kind of how I met Matt and Chris, was working here at Wahoo's.
Getting into it?
Living here locally, I'm able to volunteer easily, and my daughter comes and volunteers with me. So every weekend in October, we're hanging out, dressing up, scaring some people.
I guess so. I would just ask where it was needed, and they put me in the clown room. So I've been there ever since October of last year.
Who's been your favorite person to scare?
Favorite person to scare?
Yeah.
The ones who wet the beds, I guess.
Have you ever had anyone with their pants?
We think so.
We've had definitely a lot of people. We have, some pretty small kids. We had a group of like 70-year-old grandmas last year, about a half dozen of them. My favorite people though are probably couples, because the girls always hold on to the guys, and the guys just look at me like, yeah, buddy. And it's always pretty good.
For sure the ones that say, you're not gonna scare me. Somebody thinking they're not gonna get scared is the best person to scare.
Can you explain your costume to us?
I dress as Ghostface from Scream.
Last year I had one random one. It was just from Walmart. It was like cheap little $10 one, had a $10 mask. And it was pretty good. Everybody just kind of got their own, was responsible for their own costumes. Matt and Chris, the owners, provided some people with theirs, but they were all pretty good. If, it's dark, you'll have a hard time actually distinguishing a good quality costume from just, some cheap one from Walmart.
They asked me if I'd be one of the Grim Reapers, and they got me a costume for it last year. I just had a camouflage onesie and a mask that we had, and I would just fill in wherever they needed me to. Great thing about being a volunteer is I'm just here to help, and wherever there's a spot on the trail they need me, that's what I'll be that night. But this year, the Grim Reaper is fun.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of stalking.
Do you have a specific person you scared last year that's just stuck with you?
Nope, I can't hardly see. I just like to hear their screams.
So you just hope you're scared, but you usually are?
Yeah.
Best reaction, one time there was a guy and he was going through the whole house, and he was like kind of hyping himself up, going hoo hoo hoo, yelling, because we have some kids who actually do some scaring, yelling at the kids and stuff like that, and it wasn't too good. So me and the rest of the clowns kind of got together and we're like, we're gonna get this guy really good when he comes in through the pool noodle room. Everybody get ready, because we're gonna jump out and get him. And we jumped out at him right when he got through. He wasn't expecting any of us. We were all hiding behind certain things in the room, and we got him pretty good.
Okay. Whoa. No one scare me. I'm gonna fall.
Best is when you do get that jump scare, when, especially with stalking, they know you're there. You're right behind them, following them through a section of the trail. And when you can make a certain noise or do something that still gets them, even though they know you're there, that's a good reaction. The worst is when they act like they're not impressed. Not everybody on the trail is going to be a super scary factor. Lots of actors have different roles. Sometimes it's just people being a distraction, and when they're like, oh, that's lame, you're like, appreciate the big picture.
It gets but a little easier to handle once you know the scare actors a little better.
Is Halloween your favorite holiday?
I'd say Christmas is.
Some may make it a little spookier though.
I like hearing people scream.
What's your favorite Halloween memory?
Halloween memory, I'd have to say my first haunted house that I've ever been to. I was terrified. I did not want to go. I was kicking and screaming. Mind you, I was an adult too. Terrified, but it gave me such a natural high and adrenaline rush that ever since then I have not stopped. I just every Friday and Saturday since that day I've been at a haunted house.
Honestly, a memory that I wasn't there for, but I heard my sister and my mom went to this corn maze, and a chainsaw came out and scared them so bad that they all split up into different directions and were gone. And my sister ended up being found in a ditch somewhere, just because she was so scared she dove into something. And just after that, I've loved it. I love seeing people get scared.
I'd probably say last year, being here haunting.
What's your favorite Halloween movie if you had to pick one?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Why?
Gory, nasty. And
Is-
at the time it was 74, I believe. So at the time it was a shocker.
Oh boy. Actually, I'm a big fan of horror movies.
Growing up, I loved Friday the 13th. That was one of my favorites as a kid growing up. I like the classics. But yeah, always been a Jason fan.
And what's your favorite kind of horror? Psychological, thriller, things like that?
Psychological.
I like slashers, I like supernatural.
But there's one last thing we haven't forgotten about at Terror by the River. The largest Grim Reaper in North Carolina, and possibly anywhere. The Guinness Book of World Records will be deciding in the near future. If it's a spooky night you desire, Terror by the River provides you with exactly that. Add this to your notebook for the next time you're traveling on the Appalachian front.